The sovereign resolve drifted silently through the outer reaches of human space, its sleek hull reflecting the distant light of a dying star. Unlike the vast armadas that patrolled the core colonies, this vessel was a lone sentinel, its mission not one of conquest or diplomacy, but of vigilance. Aboard the bridge, Commander Liora Kade stood with her arms crossed, her piercing green eyes scanning the main display. At 53, she had spent nearly half her life in the United Earth Exploration and Defense Fleet, witnessing the slow but steady expansion of humanity across the stars. She had fought in border skirmishes, navigated diplomatic crises, and even led a covert operation against rogue AI colonies. Yet, despite her experience, she knew peace was always fragile, and the unknown could never be underestimated. The bridge hummed with quiet efficiency. Officers moved between consoles, monitoring systems, and tracking long-range scans. Lieutenant Aaron Strong, the ship's tactical officer, was hunched over his station, his fingers dancing across holographic displays. His voice carried the steady confidence of a man who had spent years anticipating threats before they emerged. "Commander, long-range sweep complete. Sector Theta 9 is clear of anomalies." Liora nodded, though something in her gut told her otherwise. She turned to her science officer, Dr. Liora Miles, a wiry woman with sharp features and a mind that never stopped analyzing. "Dr. Miles, run a deeper scan. Something doesn't feel right." Liora frowned, adjusting her console. "You think we missed something?" "I know we did," Liora replied. "Humanity has been expanding for a century, but we've never encountered anything like this. That silence out there, it's too perfect." As if in response, the ship's sensors pulsed with a new reading. Aaron's brow furrowed. "Unidentified energy signatures. Not natural. They're too structured, too deliberate." Liora stepped forward, her gaze locked on the anomaly. "Then we found them. Someone's been watching us." The sovereign resolve adjusted its course, bringing the anomaly into sharper focus. Lieutenant Aaron Strong expanded the sensor feed, isolating the energy signature to a precise location, coordinates 227. The display flickered, overlaying the readings with a three-dimensional projection of the unknown structure. It was massive, an intricate lattice of interwoven metallic filaments suspended in the void, pulsing with rhythmic bursts of energy. Dr. Liora Miles leaned closer, her fingers tapping rapidly against her console. "This isn't just a sensor array," she murmured, her voice tinged with both excitement and apprehension. "It's a full-scale surveillance network, quantum resonance-based, far beyond anything we've developed. They've been mapping our movements, tracking our expansion." She hesitated before adding, "And they've been doing it for a long time." Commander Liora Kade's expression darkened. "How long?" Liora adjusted the readings, cross-referencing the energy patterns with the ship's archival data. "At least 18 months, she confirmed. "Possibly longer. The dust accumulation and radiation decay suggest continuous operation well before our last patrol cycle." Aaron exhaled sharply. "That means they've been observing us for over a year and a half. They knew we would be here." Liora's jaw tightened. "Then we need to know who they are, and what they want." The bridge fell silent as the implications settled in. The crew, trained for long-range exploration and defense, had never encountered an alien presence. The United Earth colonies had expanded into dozens of systems, but humanity remained alone in the vastness of space, until now. The discovery of an advanced surveillance network implied intelligence, intent, and a level of technological superiority that was unsettling. "Tactical alert," Liora ordered. "Raise shields, power up weapons, but keep them offline until further notice. I don't want to provoke a response we're not ready for." Aaron moved swiftly, issuing commands to the tactical team. The bridge lighting dimmed slightly, shifting into a subdued red. The hum of the ship systems changed, subtle but perceptible, as the sovereign resolve braced for an encounter with something unknown. Dr. Miles continued her analysis, her eyes scanning the data stream. Their technology is unlike anything we've encountered. It's not purely mechanical. There's an organic component, almost like a neural network integrated with quantum systems. She looked up at Liora. They're not just monitoring us, they're studying us. Liora's gaze remained fixed on the display. Then we'd better be ready when they decide to make contact. Before Liora could issue further orders, the main view screen flickered, then stabilized to reveal an alien figure. It was humanoid in shape, but bore an unsettling presence. Its translucent skin shimmered with shifting fractal patterns, and its elongated features were composed of sharp, geometric planes. Its eyes, dark and multifaceted, seemed to pierce through the screen. The alien's voice, translated through a series of modulated tones, filled the bridge. Humans of Earth vessel, I am Valor Threx of the Kelyth Accord. Your presence in this sector has been noted. You have trespassed into Accord-controlled space. Liora stepped forward, her posture rigid with controlled defiance. This is Commander Liora Kade of the Sovereign Resolve. We were unaware of any territorial claims in this sector. We come in peace and seek diplomatic engagement. Valor Threk's skin rippled with what might have been amusement. Diplomacy is irrelevant. The Kelyth Accord has observed your species for some time. Your technological development is unpredictable, and your biological adaptability is a concern. Our directive is clear. Surrender your vessel and provide coordinates for all human settlements. Your species will be relocated to a controlled habitat where your expansion can be regulated. A tense silence gripped the bridge. Liora's fingers curled slightly behind her back, her mind racing. The alien's tone was neither hostile nor conciliatory. It was clinical, as if it were stating an inevitable fact. If you refuse, Valor Threx continued, your vessel will be destroyed as a demonstration. Then, one by one, your colonies will follow. The screen cut to black, leaving the bridge in uneasy quiet. Aaron Strong was the first to break it. Commander, we can't take them head-on. Their tech is decades, maybe centuries ahead of ours. Liora exhaled slowly. Then we don't fight their way. We fight ours. She turned to Dr. Miles. What did you make of their surveillance network? Elira's fingers flew across her console. It's designed to detect quantum signatures, advanced propulsion, and energy-based weapons. But it's not scanning for conventional tech. Our older systems might slip under their radar. Liora nodded. Then we use that to our advantage. We send a message the old-fashioned way. Liora turned to her communications officer, Specialist Adira, a wiry woman with a reputation for improvisation. Prepare a message drone, she ordered. We need to get a warning to Earth Command before the Kelyth adapt to our presence. Adira hesitated. Commander, they'll detect a quantum signal immediately, but if we use old-school radio waves, something they might dismiss as background noise, we might have a shot. Then make it happen, Liora said. Route it through a trajectory that avoids direct detection. Use gravitational lensing to bounce the signal through a nearby nebula. Make it look like natural interference. As Adira moved to comply, Liora turned to her chief engineer, Anthony Durand, a broad-shouldered man with a mind honed for unconventional solutions. Anthony, how quickly can you modify the shield emitters to generate a targeted EMP? Durand frowned. An EMP? Commander, that's pre-spaceflight tech. Exactly, Liora interrupted. They're looking for advanced weapons, not something primitive. If we can disrupt their systems without triggering a full-scale attack, we might buy ourselves time to gather more intelligence. Durand exhaled, considering the implications. If I can reroute power through the deflector dish, I might be able to amplify the pulse. But it'll take time, 5 hours at least. Liora glanced at the main display, where the Kelyth vessels were beginning to move. Then we'd better get started. The Sovereign Resolve sensors flared with new readings. Lieutenant Aaron Strong's voice cut through the bridge tension. Commander, multiple vessels approaching at extreme velocity. Configuration unknown, but their energy signatures match the surveillance array. Liora Kade moved swiftly to the tactical display. The view screen flickered, then showed 5 Kelyth ships descending like silent wraiths. Each was a monolithic structure of dark, shifting metal, their hulls rearranging in fluid, unpredictable patterns. Unlike the rigid formations of human warships, these vessels moved as if guided by a single, coordinated intelligence. Adapting, evolving, preparing. "They're scanning us," Dr. Elira Miles reported, her hands flying over her console. "Intensive scans, deep penetration. They're trying to map our internal systems." Liora's voice remained steady. "They want to assess our capabilities before making their move." She turned to Strong. "Status on the message drone?" "It's away," Adira confirmed. "Trajectory is set to bounce through the nebula, masking the transmission. If their sensors don't flag it as intentional, we might have a shot." Vaylor Threk's voice crackled through the comms again. "Human vessel, your systems are failing. This is the inevitable result of inferior technology. Prepare to be boarded." Liora's jaw tightened. "They think we're crippled." She turned to Aaron. "Initiate Defense Protocol Theta 9. Power down non-essential systems. Simulate critical failures. Let them believe we're helpless." Aaron nodded, issuing rapid commands. Lights dimmed, consoles flickered as power cycled down, and the ship's defensive posture shifted to appear as if systems were collapsing under Kelyth scans. Then, Liora turned to Anthony Durand. "Status on the EMP?" Durand's voice came through the comm. "Ready, Commander, but remember, this is a one-shot deal. If they adapt too quickly, we won't get another chance." Liora's gaze remained fixed on the approaching Kelyth fleet. "Then we make it count." The Sovereign Resolve systems remained in their simulated failure mode as the Kelyth ships closed in. Liora Kade stood at the center of the bridge, her expression unreadable as she monitored the tactical display. The enemy's confidence was palpable. Vaylor Threx had assumed the human vessel was helpless, an easy target for assimilation. But they had underestimated the resilience of a species that had survived not just war, but the very forces of nature itself. "Now," she said, her voice calm but firm. A flick of her wrist activated the prearranged sequence. The ship's power surged back online, its systems stabilizing just as Anthony Durand's voice crackled through the comm. "EMP discharge ready, targeting the lead vessel's control matrix." Liora gave the order. "Fire." A brief pulse rippled outward from the Sovereign Resolve, barely perceptible to the naked eye. But its effects were immediate. The lead Kelyth ship, once moving with eerie precision, faltered. Its hull, which had been shifting through complex configurations, froze mid-transformation. Sections of its structure dimmed as if the very essence of the ship had been momentarily severed from its command systems. "Direct hit," Aaron Strong confirmed, his voice tinged with disbelief. "Their main systems are down. The others are hesitating." Liora didn't hesitate. "Full power to engines. Bring us alongside the disabled vessel." The Sovereign Resolve adjusted course, closing the distance with the crippled Kelyth ship. The crew moved with practiced efficiency, executing a maneuver they had only ever rehearsed in simulations. Boarding teams assembled in the shuttle bay, their suits sealed, weapons primed. Liora joined them, her plasma pistol holstered at her side. "Listen up," she addressed the gathered team. "We're not here to destroy. We're here to understand. We need to know what we're up against, and more importantly, how to fight back." The boarding shuttles launched, their sleek forms cutting through the void. As they neared the Kelyth vessel, Liora felt a surge of anticipation. Humanity's first direct contact with an alien species had not gone as expected, but then again, history had proven that humans thrived when the odds were against them. The boarding shuttles docked with the Kelyth vessel, their clamps locking onto the alien hull with a muted hiss. Liora Kade led the first wave of her team through the airlock, her senses on high alert. The interior of the Kelyth ship was unlike anything they had encountered. Walls composed of a semi-transparent, pulsating crystalline material that seemed almost alive. The floor beneath her boots had a subtle give, as if the ship itself responded to movement. "Stay sharp," she ordered, her voice low. "We don't know what kind of security they have." Dr. Liora Miles, who had joined the boarding team, adjusted her scanner. "Gravity is slightly higher than standard, but breathable atmosphere. Their technology isn't purely mechanical, it's integrated with something biological." She frowned. "This isn't just a warship, it's an extension of them." Liora nodded, moving forward cautiously. The corridors twisted in strange, fluid angles, as though they had been shaped by a force beyond human engineering. Then, movement. A flicker of shifting patterns across the walls, followed by a low hum. "They're reacting," Aaron Strong muttered, his weapon raised. Suddenly, figures emerged from the shadows. Kelyth warriors, their fractal skin pulsing erratically, moved with unnatural speed. Their limbs elongated unnaturally, and their multifaceted eyes locked onto the intruders. "Engage non-lethal measures," Liora commanded. The human team sprang into action. Plasma stunners fired in controlled bursts, their energy disrupting the Kelyth's bioquantum link. Several warriors collapsed mid-motion, their patterns flickering before dimming entirely. Others staggered, disoriented by the unexpected resistance. Anthony Durand, analyzing the ship's systems, called out, "Their tech is linked to their biology. If we disrupt the right frequencies, we can knock them out without a fight." Liora seized the opportunity. "Dr. Miles, find their command core. We need intelligence. Fast." Dr. Liora Miles moved swiftly through the alien corridors, her scanner sweeping the crystalline walls for data conduits. The Kelyth ship pulsed faintly around her, as if reacting to the presence of intruders. She gestured toward a chamber at the end of the passageway, its entrance marked by a swirling lattice of geometric patterns. "This has to be their command center." Liora Kade followed, motioning for the security team to cover the entry. With a hiss, the chamber's door retracted, revealing a vast, domed space. At its center, a towering obelisk of shifting crystal pulsed with rhythmic energy, its glow illuminating the slumped figures of Kelyth officers at surrounding stations. Unlike the others, one figure remained upright, Velor Threx. The alien commander's fractal patterns flickered erratically, its movements stiff and uncoordinated. "Commander," Liora said, stepping forward, her plasma pistol holstered but her posture unwavering. "Your ship is disabled. You can't fight back." Velor Threx, multifaceted eyes narrowed. "Primitive interference," it rasped, its voice now distorted, lacking the smooth, modulated tones of before. "Your species is an anomaly. We have cataloged dozens of civilizations before you. All were neutralized." Liora met its gaze. "Then you haven't met our kind before." Liora moved to a nearby console, her hands flying over the alien interface. "Captain, I'm accessing their database," she murmured. "This isn't just surveillance. They've been relocating species across the galaxy. Entire civilizations, confined to controlled habitats, their development restricted." Liora's stomach twisted. "They're not just conquerors, they're engineers of extinction." Velor Threx's skin rippled with something akin to contempt. "Your resistance is futile. We will adapt. We will return." Liora's voice was steel. "Then we'll make sure you never get the chance." Dr. Liora Miles' fingers moved with practiced precision over the alien console, her mind racing to decipher the intricate patterns of the Kelyth interface. The system was unlike anything she had ever encountered. Its data streams flowed in nonlinear sequences, interwoven with biometric pulses that seemed to regulate access based on proximity and intent. But she had no time for caution. The Kelyth would recover soon, and the sovereign resolve couldn't afford to be caught in their grasp. "Captain," she called, her voice tight with urgency. "I found something. Records of past encounters. They've cataloged at least 11 species before us. Some were technologically advanced, others primitive, but all were relocated after deemed a threat to Kelyth expansion." She hesitated, her eyes narrowing at a disturbing realization. "They don't just erase civilizations. They study them, manipulate them, and then contain them. Liora Kade's jaw clenched. Containment? Elira's fingers danced across the console, pulling up visual records. The screen flickered, displaying images of vast orbital structures, prison worlds encased in shimmering energy fields. Within them, entire populations moved like ghosts, their technology stripped, their autonomy nullified. They call them preservation sectors, she explained. Controlled environments where species are kept in stasis, their development halted. They don't destroy us. They cage us. A cold weight settled in Liora's chest. The Kelyth weren't just conquerors. They were architects of subjugation, masters of strategic assimilation. They didn't need brute force to eliminate threats. They needed to neutralize them through control. Anthony Durand, still analyzing the ship's systems, called out, "Captain, I think I've found a way to disrupt their quantum entanglement drives. If we can isolate the correct resonance frequency, we might be able to scramble their propulsion systems before they adapt." Liora turned to him. "How long?" "Minutes," Anthony replied. "But once we do, we need to get out fast. They'll learn from this." She nodded. "Then let's give them something new to learn." "Commander," Aaron Strong's voice crackled through the comm. "The other Kelyth vessels are stabilizing. We've got maybe 2 minutes before they re-engage." Liora exhaled sharply. "Dr. Miles, download everything you can. We need to know how they operate, how they think. Anthony, prep the resonance pulse. Aaron, initiate extraction protocols. We're leaving with everything we've got." The boarding team moved swiftly, securing data modules and portable storage units, while the last of the Kelyth warriors lay incapacitated. Liora kept her gaze locked on Valor Threx, who was now slumped against the central obelisk, its fractal patterns dimming. "This was only the beginning," she said, stepping closer. "You don't know what we're capable of." Valor Threx, multifaceted eyes flickered, its voice a whisper of broken modulation. "You resist, but resistance is temporary." Liora smiled grimly. "Maybe, but it's the only thing that's ever changed the course of history." A moment later, the boarding team's comms crackled. "Captain, we're clear. Extraction in progress." She turned, heading toward the shuttle bay. The first battle was over, but the war had just begun. The boarding shuttles launched from the Kelyth vessel, their thrusters flaring against the dark void of space. Liora Kade remained in the cockpit of the lit shuttle, her fingers steady on the controls as she guided the craft back toward the Sovereign Resolve. Behind her, the crippled Kelyth warship drifted, its once fluid structure now frozen in an unnatural stasis. But the other enemy vessels were recovering. "Commander, the remaining Kelyth ships are reconfiguring." Aaron Strong's voice came through the comms, tight with urgency. "They're adapting to the EMP. Systems are coming back online." Liora exhaled sharply, her mind racing through the possibilities. The Kelyth were fast, too fast for a conventional retreat. If they pursued with their full fleet, the Sovereign Resolve wouldn't escape unscathed. But she had one more trick left. "Anthony," she called over the comm, "initiate the resonance pulse. Target their propulsion systems." A pause. Then, Anthony's voice returned, laced with tension. "Pulse is primed, firing now." The Sovereign Resolve's deflector dish glowed a deep, pulsing blue before releasing a wave of energy that rippled through space. The pulse struck the nearest Kelyth vessel, and for a moment, nothing happened. Then the ship's hull convulsed, its shifting structure faltering as its propulsion systems destabilized. The other 2 vessels hesitated, their patterns flickering in confusion as they attempted to recalibrate. "They're scrambling," Liora Miles reported from the science station. "Their systems can't maintain coherence. This might buy us time." Liora didn't hesitate. "Set course for Earth. Maximum warp." The Sovereign Resolve surged forward, leaving the disabled Kelyth fleet behind. As the stars blurred past, she allowed herself a moment to breathe. They had survived. But survival came at a cost. The Sovereign Resolve streaked through space, its warp engines straining under the demand for maximum speed. Commander Liora Kade stood at the center of the bridge, her gaze fixed on the main display as Earth's coordinates locked in. The encounter with the Kelyth had been brief, but decisive. Humanity had survived the first confrontation, but the cost of victory was becoming clearer. "Damage report," she ordered. Anthony Duran's voice crackled through the comms, tinged with exhaustion. "Shields held, but we lost secondary power relays in the aft sections. The EMP drained most of our auxiliary reserves, and the resonance pulse fried half the deflector control circuits. We're still functional, but we won't be able to pull this off again." Liora nodded grimly. "Understood. Get the crew working on repairs. We need to be ready for the next encounter." Dr. Lyra Miles approached, her expression troubled. "Captain, I've decrypted more of the Kelyth data. This wasn't just surveillance. They've been preparing for centuries, mapping species that show signs of rapid expansion or adaptability. Humanity wasn't the first, and we won't be the last." Aaron Strong frowned. "They're not just conquerors. They're something else. More like exterminators," Adira muttered, her hands tightening on the console. "They don't destroy civilizations outright. They contain them, preserve them like specimens in a jar." Lyora's jaw clenched. "Then we're not just fighting for survival. We're fighting to prevent an entire future subjugation." She turned to the crew. "We need to warn Earth. If the Kelyth adapt to our tactics, they'll strike with full force. We have to prepare." The bridge fell into tense silence. The war had just begun, and the fate of humanity rested on the intelligence they had stolen.